My experience with schizophrenia was not easy in the early stages of my life. I was first diagnosed in 1981 at the age of 25. That's 8 months after my graduation from the University of Calgary.
I started having delusional thoughts. I thought I could read the professor's mind before he even said the lecture. I thought I knew what the lecture was going to be about.
I was delusional and I was very paranoid, and I couldn't concentrate on very much at all.
It's something that just kind of creeped up on me. I was never really aware.
I had blurred vision. I had episodes of laughter as well as sad.
You hear noises quite clearly that normally people wouldn't hear, and it can startle you quite a bit.
I was very unfocused. I did not have any purpose in my life. I was just existing day to day.
My pictures would start talking to me. I did a painting of one singer and he would start talking to me out of the painting, and my parents had passed away, and then I had to do something with their picture because they were both talking to me. And
I was seeing visions of myself being abandoned and wandering from place to place, and voices telling me, "You're never going to make it. You're never going to make it."
Tell me to do terrible things, kill, rape, jump off buildings, murder yourself, get people to rape me and things like that. Horrible things.
because everything was moving around, I thought people were stealing things and coming into my apartment. So I got really, really angry about these people stealing things. So I started throwing things off the balcony, saying, don't bother coming in, here it is.
I thought when the lights flickered, I could do that with my mind. I thought I had ESP and telekinesis powers. And I never thought that anything was wrong with that. I just thought I was special.
I had a knife on me, not to stab innocent people, but the people who tried to murder me. It was self-defense. Some people tried to kill me on the street. One person did. That's why.
I thought the communists sent gas underneath my door to put me to sleep. And when I was asleep, I thought they stuck a pick in my ear and were pulling out my brain. I thought they were performing brain torture on me.
Sometimes my sense of smell was affected. Sometimes I would smell fire or some kind of something burning. I wasn't sure if it was real.
The voices and visions were those of Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves. Many horrible things was going on. I didn't know how to cope.
When I became well and the voices went, it was hard to cope with that too, because then I was all alone again. And so in a way it was built up really, really big, and the fall's it's kind of hard, the fall.
It's sort of like being in a bubble, and you can't find your way out of the bubble, and when you think you've burst the bubble, you might not have, and you really haven't got out of it, and you can't tell the difference. And
My schizophrenia prevented me from living with ex-wife Wendy, and she says too bad. She married to another man called Pat.
Before I became diagnosed, I was attending University of Calgary studying political science. I wanted to go on into law and then run for politics eventually. And my whole life changed.
I was a programmer that I developed firmware for computerized instruments. I can't do that anymore because I can't concentrate. So it's made me, according to one of my psychiatrists, permanently unemployable.
Unsung Heroes started in about 1996, and I never was a member because I was sick back in 96, really sick, and then in 2000 I was working. But in 2001 I became the facilitator or coordinator of the Unsung Heroes program.
I was one of the first ones to actually initiate the program and helped set the guidelines and the rules of conduct to the group itself. And it's worked out very well now because we're still going strong.
I learned about the Unsung Heroes group from Potential Place Clubhouse. There were members there that are members of the Schizophrenia Society. So they told me about the support group for people with schizophrenia, and I dove right in. I just got to the first meeting I could because I thought this is a really good idea.
Unsung Heroes make me think clearly. They set me, you have people there who have schizophrenia you can touch base with because they have similar illnesses. I find like explaining myself and my illness and the meds I'm on and the illness that I have and whatnot tends to make me a better person.
They had told me that time that I had trouble a few years ago that isolating was the worst thing to do if you had the schizophrenia, because that makes everything bigger. And if you're not in contact with people to talk, things don't get manageable. That isolating really wasn't good.
I like it. It helps. Maybe they don't always help. They just talk it. Going to a place where there's sympathy and you can talk. That helps.
There's some people that I see that come to Unsung Heroes that are struggling, but they're making an effort to come. But I see a lot of people that don't come to the meetings as well that would need to come because they really like the social interaction. They really like a sense of purpose and motivation in their life, which I feel I have acquired and maintained fairly reasonably since the group has begun.
Dr. Schneider approached us in about 2002, I guess, 2003, and said she wanted to do a participatory research study with us. And so we thought, wow, this will be a good idea, and we'll see what we can do. There was trepidation and uncertainty, and we were all nervous because we'd never done anything like this before.
I'd been doing research on the social and cultural aspects of schizophrenia for quite a number of years, and I saw a call for grant proposals for a project to do participatory research with people who have disabilities. And I thought that would be something really interesting to do. So at that point, I approached the Schizophrenia Society, and they put me in touch with the Unsung Heroes. And we began discussions on how we could collaborate to carry out a research project on a topic of real interest and relevance to their lives. They had no idea what they were getting themselves into, but as we went along, they really got the idea and became really engaged with the research project.
I didn't have any preconceived ideas of what the research was going to be doing exactly. I hadn't done anything like it before, so I didn't know what to expect.
I really wasn't prepared for the extent of what Dr. Barbara brought to the table about the different questions and the different themes we would be exploring and compiling information on.
Most of the people in the group had been subjects of research in the past. They'd given their blood, or they'd given their fingerprints, or they'd filled out surveys, but they had no real idea of what it would mean to be co-researchers investigating a topic of real interest and relevance to them. So it was a bit of a challenge at the beginning to get them to understand that this was their project and not someone else's project.
This is a unique research project because the type of research that I'm familiar with was my days at the University of Calgary, my student days, where I would do term papers and do library research. This is a different type of research.
Participatory research is where the people conducting the research have a stake in what they're doing.
Having the people living the experiences be able to have a voice and to articulate what we need. We have the ability through this research to say, this is lacking in society, and this is what we need, and this is how we can go about making a difference.
We got together and we decided on with Dr. Barbara Schneider. She led our group and asked us if we would like to do this participatory research. And she asked us to choose the topics. And
so we came up with 2 or 3 ideas that everybody was interested in, and finally settled on one that everybody felt they could get excited about.
We were concerned about the lack of affordable housing for the severely mentally ill.
I've been on the street 11 days. That was terrible. It was really horrible. And you need housing for everybody.
I have never experienced it before, but it has opened up my mind what these people go through, the horrors they go through, and how damaging it could be to their mental wellness, their mental health.
We interviewed each other, plus we interviewed focus groups, we interviewed the homeless.
We interviewed people who had been homeless or near homelessness. We interviewed people from the Mustard Seed that were street people. We interviewed people from the Potential Place Clubhouse that had been homeless. We interviewed people from the drop-in center that had been homeless. And we interviewed people within our group. And so we really expanded this research projects to include outside people outside of the main group.
You got to see what other people have gone through their eyes and their words. And some of it was pretty terrible stuff. I think it helps your experience to learn what other people have done in their time.
I found dealing with the idea of homelessness difficult to deal with, because I really felt for these people, or I should say I really feel for these people, because I hate the way people think of them.
Earlier, for most of us, we really had a lot of housing instability. So it was about housing instability and stability. And when we're coping with our illness and we're not diagnosed properly, it's harder to maintain our housing.
The interviews gave the group members a real sense of the complexity and the challenges of providing housing for people with severe mental illnesses. They really got a sense that there are no easy solutions here. And certainly we have no solution to offer in our research. But having heard the range of experiences and challenges that people face, group members feel that they now have something to offer that can make a really positive contribution to understanding these complexities.
The presentation should help other people that haven't been through the experience understand what these people have gone through. It's one thing to sort of say you've heard about the problems and all that, but when you hear the words of the people that were involved in homelessness, that makes a lot of difference.
And now we're on to the stage where we want to present our results to the professional community, to the medical community, and to the general community of Calgary.
My name is Claude Matthew, and I want to welcome you to our presentation today. The words you will hear are the words spoken by the research participants.
Care, control, compliance,
dilemmas,
do it our way,
be grateful, surveillance,
Trust,
medication,
the system,
we want to tell you about the experiences of our study participants with medical and housing service providers. Now we will let our research participants tell you in their own words how they became homeless and how their relationships with parents, friends, roommates, and service providers either helped them or made things worse for them.
They called me names. They locked me up in the closet. My dad doesn't even talk to me. He says, I want nothing to do with that girl. She's not my daughter. I disown her.
So I was used to saying, oh, there's trouble. I'm going to split. When I became older, I just started running away.
I'd go into my room, turn off the lights, and lay down just to calm myself. My roommate used to come in. She'd grab me and scream and yell at me and say, it's no wonder you have no friends.
I tried to tell my parents that my apartment manager was coming into my apartment without my permission. They said it's just your paranoia. When you have schizophrenia, they can blame it on the paranoia and you can't fight back. It's not fair.
Coming into contact with the medical and housing systems means that we have to learn about a whole new world, rather like moving to a new and strange country. Many of us have struggled with getting to know how the system works and how we can fit into it. We have had to learn to be compliant.
It's almost like an additional disease, just trying to understand all the agencies and what they want from you, and what you're supposed to do, and what your diagnosis is. And there's no one to guide you through it all.
If you do not want to submit to the system, then tough nuggies, good luck, because you've got to play ball or you're not in the game.
Many of our participants describe years of being on and off medications and connect this directly to their housing instability.
When I'm off the medication, I get pretty sick. I need my medication because I get delusional. I have out-of-body experiences. I hear voices. I have episodes. I have got to be on my medication because it makes a load of difference.
In the last 4 years, I've hooked up with the Assertive Community Treatment Team, who have helped me maintain a stabilized state of mind. They come to my door every morning and every night and watch me take my medication.
The people interviewed for our study are extremely grateful to be on the monthly disability pension in Alberta, assured income for the severely handicapped, or AISH. It provides much needed financial stability, which is essential to maintain housing.
I ended up picking butts off the street and picking bottles, just doing anything to survive. It was a bit tough before I was on AISH.
I even had my boyfriend teach me how to live if I ever ended up homeless. He would take me to the garbage bins behind the houses. There's a lot of great things in the garbage. We'd wear gloves and have coat hangers or sticks to pull things out with. And you used to be able to get pretty good food at the back of Safeway, but now they incinerate it.
I have to report my extra income to AISH. If I make money 1 month, it is taken out of my check the next month. If I don't make as much money in that next month, I have to manage on less for that month. The paperwork is overwhelming. It makes me not even want to work.
A number of our participants describe situations in which treatment or services were withheld when they did not behave in ways that the service provider thought appropriate.
Not until you become independent in your own housing can you move away and beyond the system. But even then, you still have to live in fear of it.
Proactive is not in the language of many agencies. They refer you. But will they champion your cause, or will they stand beside you? No, they just point you in the right direction and say, happy trails.
It was impossible for me to get off the street because everybody I phoned, as soon as I told them I was living at the drop-in center, they said, we want somebody who's working or a student. We don't want someone who's been on the street because we can't trust you.
Once people were in housing, their troubles were not over.
They stole my toilet paper. They stole my sheets. They stole my towels. I would tell and nobody believed it.
They turn around and they berate you, put you down, call you names. So that's why I'm afraid to say something, because then I'll get on their bad side.
The participants in our study told us what home means to them.
Anything that's not temporary is home, where you can take off your armor and really come back to yourself from the challenges of the day. You feel like a turtle carrying your home with you. When you're carrying your home with you, how can you ever take your armor off?
Home means a lot of laughter and fun. A place where I can have family for celebrations. A place where I can create memories. Safe, pleasant memories.
We have some recommendations that we hope will help service providers to care for us without controlling us.
Work with us to help us make choices, but do not tell us what we have to do. We do not want to be forced to live the way you think we should live.
Provide education for families about different housing options and offer more support for families.
We need help with doing taxes, saving money, learning about insurance, providing for ourselves in the future, learning about nutrition, and managing stress.
We should not have to move just because we reach age 65 or don't fit in to particular housing.
Provincial and federal governments could give tax incentives for affordable housing or require that builders make a certain percentage of their new units affordable housing. Society has to make this a priority.
Make sure that one person from this agency follows someone right through the system, A to Z, from homeless to housed.
We hope that through our research, people will see a story of hope. There is hope for people who have schizophrenia. They don't have to live homeless anymore. And hopefully in the future, there will be more income supports, more community supports, and more subsidized and affordable housing. We must find the political will to have more subsidized and affordable housing for people who have schizophrenia.
Our research.
Our
voices.
Our research.
Our voices.
I really thought we'd be doing kind of paperwork and maybe numbers, and I didn't realize I'd be presenting and standing up and talking, and I just wanted to, I just felt it was so important though. I just saw the work is so important that I wanted to continue on. I wanted to try the presentation. I thought, well, I'll try doing one presentation and see how it goes. Dr. Barbara Schneider seems so excited about this. We'll give it a try. I want to carry it through to the end.
Right from the beginning of the project, I had a vision of them standing up in front of their housing and medical service providers and telling them how they feel when they're not treated well or when they're not listened to. And that's really what's happened in the project. People with psychiatric disabilities typically have a really hard time getting their voices heard. And presenting like this in a group enables them to say things that they probably couldn't say as individuals.
Schizophrenia is a really bad one because it has so many different symptoms that go along with it. You have delusions, you have paranoia, you have you're hearing voices, the medication makes you really tired, or the medication doesn't work all that well at all. And it can be hard even to have one conversation with a person in a day. That can be quite traumatizing to somebody who is suffering serious symptoms. And as far as the stigma goes, I really don't know what to do about it, but I sure would like to try and be part of something to make it better for people.
People with schizophrenia and other forms of mental illness are seen to be unproductive members of society and not contributing. And I know from my heart that this research will refute the notion that people with schizophrenia and other forms of mental illness are unproductive.
I've learned from the research project that we're all the same. We all have the same desires, wants. We all want to have a house. We all want to have food. To say that those people don't want to work or they don't want to have food and shelter, that's absolutely unequivocally wrong. All of our people want to have housing, clothing, food. It's just they're so disorganized in their brain because their brain is broken. They can't organize themselves to get it together.
I used to think that they're there because they want to be there. And I understand now that a lot of it is not. It's sort of their last hope or last place that they've got left to wander around in this world.
Back when we started, I never thought we would get that far. I never thought that it could be such a difference. we have discovered these facts. We've discovered that homelessness is a universal problem, and that it doesn't have to be, and that if we have the political will, we can make a difference, and that if we lend our voices and our expertise and our experiences, we can put it into a format to make our voices heard.
It slowly really helped me to grow and have more self-confidence, more self-esteem. It's where I first started speaking publicly and realizing that I could talk to people that maybe had power over me, that I was scared of, like medical professionals, on a common ground, and really talk to them and tell them things from my point of view.
Research is most important, because if, even not with mental illness, if you don't research, you won't have cures to things and things stay the same. Totally, it's really a vicious circle, but interviews really help you, make you understand better.
I want to continue talking and sharing, and I want to keep contributing in any way I can to make life better for those who maybe can't talk, because of their illness, or because they're so over medicated. I'd like to talk for them. And
we're transformed. We were really transformed in doing the research. It brought us awareness, it brought us awakening, and it brought us truth of what really matters in society. You understand that it's important. What's important is our relationships with one another, and how we can improve them, and how we can make a difference in people's lives.